Kathy by Design, and I'm here to share a little fun little tutorial with you today. This is for Authentique Paper, and I am working with their Glamour collection. This is the 6x6 pad, and this is such a lovely collection. Beautiful images. I worked with both the 6x6 and the 12x12. And as you can see, beautiful blues and blacks, gorgeous patterns, and just a divine collection in every way. I absolutely love it. I worked with the collection kit and also with this little 6x6 bundle pack. And the collection kit comes with this 12x12 cardstock components. You just pop these out and you can do all sorts of things with them. They're wonderful. They're one of my favorites. So what did I do? I created this really sweet vintage style shabby chic easel card. This is a 5x5 with a 1/2 inch spine, and I'm going to show you how to build an easel card base with a spine. And as you can see, it will stand upright for display. It has a really neat pocket on the front cover, and this little tag comes out. So you could put this on an easel for display. You could leave it in the card because it's cute. The back side is decorated as well. And I will show you how to do this. Make this shaped pocket and the little tag insert. Stopper, these are little birdie flowers. Really reasonable ribbon. Silver metallic string. More little birdie flowers. This is a little wood chip that I had in my stash. I think this is by Kaiser Craft. And this is cool. These are little jewels that, you know, you pick these up, and I just attach these with the flowers and the ribbon here. So when the card opens up, I've decorated the two top panels, and then this is actually, the stopper is actually a pocket. So in the pocket, I've created a little gift card holder, and this pulls out from here. This is an Eileen Hull die, and I'll show you the parts of that when we do the tutorial. Slips back inside, and this little piece from the cardstock components acts as a stopper to keep it from going all the way in, and it just slips in the pocket. So that's the card. We're gonna make the card together, so let me just clear room on my desk, get things organized. I'll be right back and we'll get down to business. All right, let's get started. And to begin with, you're going to need some 100-pound ivory cardstock, and you want to cut this to 12 inches wide, 12 inches long by 5 inches wide. Then you're going to put this on your scoring tool, and to create the easel card, this is super simple. Score at 2.5, score at 5, 5.5. That creates that 1/2 inch spine, and score at 10.5. So we'll go over that again. 2.5, 5, 5.5, 10.5. And then this is going to fold up. Here's your pocket, and then this becomes your easel mechanism. So I like to begin my cards on the inside, and we will add this main floral panel here. This is 4 7/8 by 4 7/8, and you'll see I do a lot of layering with this card, and basically I cut my paper so I have an 1/8 inch less on each layer. So this just fits right here below that spine, and lay that in there. Now we're going to do the pocket, and I like to add, I call these gussets. I don't know what the real name is, but that's what I call them. These are just little scraps of paper that I cut to about 1 inch wide, and I measure it against the height of the pocket. Then I fold them in half. I don't score them or anything, I just fold them. Add a little adhesive here, and place that along the edge of your pocket. And what that allows is for you to put a little more into the pocket. It's not as tight of a seal, if you will. So now you've done this, place your adhesive on this side as well, and then just fold this up and burnish it down. Very easy. Then I've cut these panels to line the top of the card, and these are also 4 7/8 and 2 3/8. So I want to put the black panel, this beautiful black damask print, kind of to break up the patterns in between the top and the bottom. So just to recap, these are 4 7/8 by 2 3/8. And then I have this really pretty aqua pattern on the top. Then this sentiment, Be Your Own Kind of Beautiful, is punched out from that component sheet. And we're just going to adhere that right here. Now we're going to work on the pocket slash stopper. And from this beautiful script paper, which is I think the back side of this, but don't quote me on that, you're going to cut a 4, it's just a little bit over 4 3/4 by 1 7/8. And then I've matted this on slightly larger panels of this blue and gray, just to go with the colors that are in this collection. And we're going to just adhere this over the pocket. And I'm aware that this is bigger than the pocket flap. So I'm just going to add my adhesive to the actual flap. And then I'm going to line this up with the base and just burnish it down. And by adding the adhesive to the flap, you don't run the risk of getting the adhesive onto your designer paper below, which would mean that you couldn't, close your pocket. And because this is a stopper, we need to add height, because this is what is going to keep this easel standing upright. So I've taken a little scrap of the Glamour one, and this is just a little more than 4 5/8 and 1 3/8. And again, matted that. And this time we're just going to add the adhesive to the back. We're going to center it. In place. I'm trying to make sure everything is straight before I burnish that down. And then the final step is this little border, and you won't really even see this. I'm going to show you this tip real quick. I just noticed there were some nubs on there from where it was punched out. You can just use your scissor or just scrape those off. But I've backed this with chipboard because I want this elevated. And this is going to go right here. Just like that. Okay, so this Be Beautiful is from the component sheet, and I'm going to adhere this on the right-hand side of this little border. And I'm just adding a piece of chipboard to the border itself, placing my adhesive there, and then this is going to be centered, top and bottom, and we're just going to press that down. And don't worry, we're going to add flowers and things there eventually, so that is going to work out just fine. So that's the base. Not hard, right? So now we want to make this pocket insert. And this is where I use this Eileen Hall die. This is her, hold on, it's a long name. I can never remember all of it. Credit card sleeve and tags. And this is what it looks like. So basically you set your die on the paper that you want to cut. And this is a separate piece. So I tape it in there with Scotch tape. Then I run it through my die cutting machine. And then I also used this piece to make the little mat, and this little round circular piece to make the little decoration at the top. So I started out with just a piece of the same blue cardstock, 3 3/4 by 4 3/4. And then I cut a slightly smaller, this is 3 5/8 by, of course, 4 5/8. And then I just used my Crocodile scallop tool to shape the corners. You can use any corner punch that you like. And we're just going to adhere this shaped panel. And you can even do this just a rectangle if you want to. I just think it looks pretty dressed up. But we're just gonna add that there. Let me pull this out so use as a guide. All right, then the next thing we're going to do is take this black panel, and we want to place this centered and about 1/4 of an inch from the top. But when you glue this down, keep your adhesive very close and a really thin bead on the edge, because otherwise you won't be able to slip your little nifty gifty in. So about 1/4 of an inch down, centered. That looks good. All right, so nothing hard yet, right? All very simple. That looks pretty straight. And then I used that little square piece that I showed you, that little rectangle piece, to cut out this pretty rosebud print and this little tag. And then I just strung this with silver metallic string and ran it through there. And this, what we're going to do here, this is from the 6 by 6, and I've just cut this out. This is going to go right here. Now if you don't want to do chocolate, you can put this in just as it is, and it's awfully cute. But I think chocolate is always a good idea. So I just put a little piece of score tape on the back of this miniature Ghirardelli. I'm going to fold the little wings back on this one, and this is just going to go right in the center of this tag. And then to decorate that round tag, I just put a pop dot on the back of this little rose icon from the component sheet, and this just goes like this. And then a lot of times what you have to do when you've done any kind of a pocket is just go in with a ruler and gently move it around. And this is going to help that paper relax and be more receptive to receiving the tag. So there we go, just like that. All right, that's how that's going to go. Now we're going to add this little belly band right across, and this is cut the same width. This is 3 5/8, I believe. 3 3/4, sorry. Well, it's in between 3 5/8 and 3 3/4. What I did was I just laid a scrap across here, marked it with my fingernail, and because I like to work with scraps. I don't like to waste. So I like to work with scraps whenever I can. So we're just going to get this even on both sides and straight. I need to go this way just a little bit. Perfect. Now we take our lady with the looking glass, and she's going to, and you might have to trim her down just a little bit. I think I did trim just about 1/8 of an inch off. And of course I've inked all my edges with Mermaid Lagoon and Hickory Smoke Distress inks. She goes right here. Then I just fussy cut this little perfume bottle from the collection, and this goes right down along the bottom, just as that extra little bit of decoration. And then we'll pop our tag and see how that catches the edge, and then this just slips right inside this pocket, nice as you please. Piece of cake. So now what we have to do is prepare the front cover. And when you do an easel card, you leave it like this. You build your cover separately. Then when your cover is done, you glue it just onto this bottom flap. You'll see how we do that in a moment. So I started with a 5x5 piece of the same ivory, and you always want to do that with an easel card. You want the base of your card front to be the same size as this scored flap. And then I matted it with slightly smaller pieces of the gray and the blue. And then I cut this panel, which is 4 5/8 of this pretty advertisement paper, and that's all glued together. Now to make our shaped pocket from Glamour 1, I cut this corner piece, I fussy cut this corner piece with the mirror and the roses. And to turn this into a pocket, I did the same thing. I just took a couple of pieces of scraps, folded them in half, and we're just going to adhere these one along the bottom edge, like so. And I want to go over just a little bit because I don't want that poking out. So right there looks good. And then another one to go up the side like this. Just like that. See? Then we're going to put adhesive again on these little flaps. And we're going to line this up with the outer corner of our card base, right along that edge, and then just burnish that down. And that is a shaped pocket. Now if you wanted to, you could put an image back in here, you could stamp a sentiment and stick it back in there so that even once the tag comes out, it's still fun to look at. And I'll leave that up to you. You can use your own imagination on that. So that's basically that. Now we just have to make the tag that goes inside. So let me bring these pieces in. This is a Graphic 45 square ivory tag, and I've used the matching tag die to cut the liner paper. Then I took a Tim Holtz, this is a mixed media die, and you just cut this little lacy bit. And then I came in, I like to come in with this Mermaid Lagoon, and I'm just going to show you this very quickly. I need a little more ink. There we go. I just like to go over this die cut layer because what this will do is it will make it pop so that it calls attention to it. And it's such a pretty look. And then I also need to get the edges on this very quickly, which I thought I had done, but I had not. All right. And then this is a little scrap of the handwriting, and I just kind of brushed over this lightly with Mermaid Lagoon and did the edges. So you can either glue this down like this and let the white show through, the ivory show through if that's what you like, or if you want to do what I did, I just cut this little panel, and I want to say, well, I'll measure it for you in a moment. We're just going to glue this back behind. See how pretty that looks? I really like that look. I think that is so nice. And this little panel is 3.5 by 3. And it just fits nicely back there. Then we're going to just adhere this liner to the tag. I always center the top of the tag first, check to see if my sides are even, and then you can just adjust it, just like that. And we're a little bit crooked. There. Okay, so the next step, from one of the 4x4 images, I just fussy cut these two ladies out and then inked around the edges. Then I used a spellbinder die to cut this wreath. And what we're going to do is tuck these ladies inside the wreath like this. So put a little adhesive here to hold that in place. Put a little adhesive here to hold that in place. And now what I'm going to do is just add my adhesive to the back. And this is why I like working with this Art Institute Dries Clear, because you have amazing control with the placement of your adhesive. And you can get this at Country Craft Creations. You can also buy it at Heartfelt Creations. And then we want to put these gals on our tag over right along the bottom and slightly to the right. And then we're just going to burnish this down. Now I'm going to come back now that it's down like this, and I'm going to get these that I missed because they were on the front. But you see, now that it's in place, I can do that, and it's much easier than trying to, this is just the easiest way I have found to do this. We'll just leave it at that. And I really like this die. I've gotten a lot of use out of it. It was designed to be used with acorns and oak leaves, but it's just so pretty as it is, and you can do a lot of variations with it. So I'm a fan. I really like it. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is place our bow. And I tied a 2.5-inch bow from this same blue satin. And we're going to add this right here in this corner. And then you just have to hold that for a minute while that glue sets up. And while it does, you can get your tails placed the way you want them. And then I also tied a little double loop bow with silver metallic string. And we're going to adhere that right on top of this bow. Oops. And then just adjust those loops. Then I took, this is actually a button, and I cut the shank off, popped the middle out, and painted it. And I want to add just a little bit of this, just a touch of this blue to the outer edge. And that allowed me to custom color it, which I rather like. And that's going to go just like this on the bow. I have these Maya Road stick pins in my stash from forever ago, but I'm going to let that set up a little bit before I mess with that. So let's flip this over and do the back side. Ink up these edges, and this is just the reverse pattern of the advertisement paper. So you could go this way if you wanted to, or you could go this way. And actually you can use whatever paper you want when you design yours. That way it's your unique creation rather than just a carbon copy of what I do, which is really fun. I never usually make the exact same thing twice. So that goes down like that. Then this is an image from the cut apart page. And this is a component, it's the lips. But I really liked this little frame. So what I'm going to do, I wanted something kind of round to soften this. It's such a beautiful, just trying to get that straight. Let me look at the back. So I just cut it in half. I used half on the one card and the half on the other. And we're just going to glue this down in this corner. And the back side of the tag is quite a bit simpler than the front. I liked the little roses that were in the original, but I didn't have another piece of that. So I just fussy cut these out of the advertisement paper. And these are just going to go right down here in this corner. And then this is a sentiment from the sentiment sheet, and it says, "Simply Divine, Darling." And we're just going to layer this right here. Oops. Get it straight. All right, that's good. Now we're going to add our bow. This is 6 inches. This is just going to loop through, and I may shorten it. Just depends. Even out those tails. Then we're just going to tie this in a simple square knot. Can you hear my husband talking in the background? He's on the phone. I have the door closed and everything. But he has a big booming voice. So if you hear a man in the background, it's not the boogeyman, it's my husband. So I've just tied a simple square knot here. And I want to trim the ends of this off because I feel that they are too long. And I think these are a bit long also. Matter of taste. If you like them long, you can leave them long. All right. Okay. This should be set up enough now for us to add these stick pins. And you want to go in between the paper layers. That's the trick to working with these, because otherwise the sharp end sticks out and you can get hurt. But that's pretty. Love, love, love that. Okay, then I'm going to show you how to add this little guy. Piece of silver metallic string. I always cut it longer than what I think I'm going to need it to be, because if it's longer you can trim it, but if it's too short you're up the creek. So just thread that through the hole. Pull this back through the loop. And I'm going to lay this right here. Okay, so we're just going to take our hot glue. I'm going to put a dot of it on this knot. Then I'm going to lay my chain so that the gem hangs down. And I can adjust that a little bit. Then I'm going to take this little silver bow and add it just like this. All right. We're not going to trim that yet. Instead, we're going to take our flowers, and I think I want to use this one. And here's what I do sometimes. If they're a little big, you just kind of squish them up. And I'm going to put this kind of at an angle. Then I'm going to take this little printed one. And press it right in there and just hold that for a second. So adjust your bow. Now you can come in and trim this back. And there's probably other ways to do this. This is just how I do it. So if you've got a way that works for you, you do that. Do it your way. All right, now we're going to add our little flowers and pearls. So these are the little birdie flowers. And sadly, I only have one rosebud left, but we will make this work. I'm going to tuck the stem down in like that. So I'll use 2 pearls on this one to keep it, because 3s, I always try to work in 3s. I'm just adding my adhesive to the back of this pearl, and then tucking these in together. And then one more. The tricky part is to put this in place without burning your fingers. I'm going to bring in these little bouquets. And we're going to add these to our wreath. They have this little foam thing on the back. I take that off. I don't like that. So just add your adhesive on the back. And let's place this one so that it's right in this blank spot. And then need one over there. And you always ask me, where can you get little birdie flowers? AC Moore. AC Moore is now carrying them in their stores. Not online yet, but I think if we pester them all and tell them how much we want these flowers, maybe we can get them to start carrying them online, which would be dandy. This goes here. And then this little wood charm goes on the mirror of our pocket. And again, you don't have to do that if you don't want to. It's your project. And I love these itty bitty bouquets. I just think they're precious. So that's fine, just like that. And then I have one left. So we're almost done. Voila, there's the tag. Not hard, right? So now we bring our card base in. I'm going to take this tag out of the pocket. On the bottom flap, put the adhesive on your flap, just the bottom flap. No adhesive above the fold, because if you do, you've just lost your easel. And then line this up so that it matches on the bottom and the side. Just burnish it. There's our easel. And again, sometimes you have to go in with your ruler and just encourage this to open up. And being gentle, you don't want to tear the paper. And this just sets in there at an angle. Isn't that pretty? Now we're just going to add our flowers down here on the stopper. And for that, I have these pretty ones. These are also Little Birdie, but I wanted to add some cream, some ivory to the composition. So this one goes down first, just like that. And the second one goes slightly on top of it so that the leaf is kind of hanging over the edge. And then I have one, well, I might use this rosebud instead. And I'm just going to squish this up. You see what I'm doing? Add my adhesive to the bottom. And I can tuck this right in between those two flowers like that. And that is very pretty indeed. And we're done. That was not hard, nor did it take long. Now you know how to make an easel card with 2 pockets and inserts. So, thank you so much for joining me. I hope I've shared some tips and tricks that you can use in your own crafty adventures. I would love to have you subscribe to my channel. I'm always sharing new ideas and tutorials and tips that I think you will be able to use. So now I'm going to go get my craft on.